Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland, and in this video I'm going to reveal that I had a vasectomy. So, this is my story. Now, is the personal political? Perhaps in this case it is. Now, I've stated my view that abortion is immoral and very unpalatable unless it's a medical necessity. So, as I'm broadly pro-life, it behoves me to explain, well, what's my solution? Unwanted pregnancies are always going to occur. As Edmund Burke said, we can't frame laws on the basis that everyone will always make judicious decisions, that everyone's always fair, sensible. Of course, some people are going to be foolish. I've done things which are inadvisable, things like that. People are all going to be a bit immoral, and that includes me. So what would I propose to do about unplanned pregnancies or pregnancies which are unwanted, to be frank? Well, I would like to avoid abortion occurring. I would therefore like to avoid unplanned and unwanted pregnancies taking place. Now, it's never going to be avoided completely, but how can we at least reduce the incidence thereof? And so that's one of the reasons, well, the primary reason perhaps, why I had a vasectomy. So I'm coming out of the closet as saying I did this some years ago. It will save agony. It will save these unwanted pregnancies, which may result in the baby being aborted, which I consider to be a dreadful thing to do. So it's fair enough for people to say, well, if you're against abortion, what do you propose? What are you doing about it? And so I've done the only thing that I can to make really sure. So, well, why did I do it? I never say whether I have children or not. I keep certain matters private. But whether I wanted children or whether I had enough children, that issue was decided in my life. I was satisfied with the situation. I shan't spell out what it was and is. So for that reason, I chose to have a vasectomy. It's something I've mulled over very carefully for a long time, perhaps too long. So it was a very well considered decision, as I said, taking advice, thinking the pros and the cons. And that's why I had it done in the United Kingdom. I had to speak to my GP and say, yes, I understood the consequences, but this really was no going back. There are various ways to do it, but the way it's done in the hospital I did it is irreversible. There are other methods whereby there is a possibility of reversal. The success of reversal could be as low as 20%, as high as 80%, the success rate of reversal. So reversal doesn't always work, but the way I've done it is irreversible. The upside of that is that the chance of failure is microscopically small, 1 in 4,000 chance of it going wrong in a lifetime. So I had to book in, and it was about 3 months beforehand, had to pay the money. It was only about £300. I was had to wait for my slot, be at the hospital in good time, and was told to remove any pubic hair from my testicles. But you're supposed to shave them, and I thought, oh my god, that's worrisome, because this is not a flat area. I've never shaved that zone, and could easily cut myself. But they say you can't have it waxed, because then it's going to be irritated. They might refuse to perform the procedure. But I naughtily did have it waxed by an ugly little woman in London, and you might consider a bit of a turn on, but it wasn't. She did a bit of it on my thigh to show what it's like. That wasn't too bad. When she actually got going on my sack, it was agonizing, and I was shrieking and kicking my leg involuntarily. She said, shh, there are people having a meeting next door. Well, it was decidedly stupid to locate this waxing room next door to the meeting room. And she said, if you kick me again, I have to stop. But anyway, she completed it successfully. And I went up a few days later, buying my dressing gown and slippers, and I was in there in good time. And there was a man I was speaking to on the way in who had 3 children, who was about to have the procedure. So, a bit of a chat, and they processed all very fast. Within 10 minutes of walking on the door, I was actually on the table. There was a surgeon ready to perform it, a GP who was going to watch this for his own medical education. I consented to that. And they said, when I was on the table, are you absolutely certain you want to go ahead with this? I said, yes. My fear was that at the last minute they decided that they wouldn't do it, or indeed that they would see that the skin was inflamed. It would only hurt a tiny bit and refuse to do it. Gave me an injection in the scrotum. Well, it's more painful than you would imagine, but it's fast-acting local anaesthetic. And then they start doing something. Can you feel that? Can you feel that? And I sensed movement, but there was no pain whatsoever. It was only where about 10 minutes all over, and then up and into my dressing gown and helped into another room. And the receptionist is instantly making a drink, take my mind off it. And pretty soon I've got a taxi to where I need to go. They say no straining, which would mean no intercourse or indeed onanism for the next fortnight. Not to fly either. I naughtily flew 10 days afterwards. A doctor told me he knew someone had gone parachuting the day afterwards, which would not be wise at all. I didn't do that. I had a stag party to go to that night, and I'd said, well, pencil it in, see how it goes. I didn't know how I was going to be affected, and I had to take painkillers, and could be mild for a while, and then could be a sledgehammer of pain. Actually, the pain was very minor. My friend, who's finally a medical student, he examined me. There was no sign of infection, so that was that. It was curious being. I did manage to go on a train for hours, walking but very slowly, sitting still, which is really not me, and go to Glasgow and book into a hotel, and then go to the stag weekend. Seeing someone very nubile, going to a nightclub, but really having no possibility of being able to copulate with them, even if I wanted to, because I was very eager to avoid any straining, as I had been advised. It was window shopping. So that was that. I've had no regrets whatsoever. I have done many foolish things in my life, and I do rue certain actions I took. But on this one, as I say before, I do not regret it one bit. It was absolutely the right thing to do. So I ask you to think about your own situation, and if it is the right thing, definitely to go for it. We should have a one-child policy the world over, a voluntary one-child policy like the Chinese have, so that every child is adequately provided for and the population is kept down so as not to put too much of a strain on the planet. If our population really is falling precipitously, there's ample opportunity to change this and build up a population later. We've got 7 billion people alive, more people alive now than have ever died. So I really don't think the human race is in any risk of running any risk of going extinct. So I recommend that men do this. You could do it in a way that is reversible. It's different from hysterectomies. It's not invasive. You can walk out of there, and you could have it a way which could be changed back if you were to change your mind later on. Whereas a hysterectomy, well, there's no going back. An organ has been taken out and disposed of, and another one cannot be inserted. So that's it. Vasectomy, have it. Depending on your situation, but I would say for the great majority of men, especially you already have one child, that's it. Have it. I think very, very few people regret it. You are doing a service to humanity by having a vasectomy.